right. Hey, everyone, welcome. And today we're doing something a little different than what I've done in the past. So this is not for everyone. I get it. But this is particularly for those of you who may be starting out who don't yet have a business, no LLC, no investors, anything like that. Uh, but I just want you to know you're not out of the game. You're actually, in my opinion, in a perfect spot to move fast because a lot of times when we set up all these things, we really use those as ways to not do actual activities. So today I want to go over 3 strategies that I've used and I continue to use, and I taught I want to show you those things that we continuously help people generate, $5 and $10,000 in a very, very short period of time using what you already know. A lot of this stuff, what's interesting is that um, it's funny because you know these things, but you still don't do them. So I want to show you some practical examples of something that we've done recently, and then also examples of people who I know that could be doing these things that are not doing it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric Coffie. Built 7-figure businesses in real estate, construction, and also now online media. But what I continue to fascinate me is my space that I teach a lot about is government contracting. And what I've seen is that a lot of folks do not even have $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to take some of our classes because they need to make at least that. And so we want to talk about that today. And I think this is very attractive to a lot of young people, right? And I say young people because you have a lot of skills that you probably take for granted. I know that I personally, before I came on this journey of talking on YouTube, I took my skills for granted. In fact, I thought I didn't even have any skills that were valuable, and so I didn't know that I had real value because no one ever told me that I had value. And in fact, they told me the opposite, which made me believe that I had less value than I actually have. Hey, AJ, welcome from Paris. So for me, my hope to do from this video today is to show you, in fact, that you have tremendous value. And particularly if you're young, you're not afraid of computers, you're not afraid of technology. If you, instead of complaining about the boomers and talking about the boomers and saying how, they have all the wealth and have all the money and your opportunities passed you by, think of them as ripe old customers for you to spend their money with people like yourself. So I'll give you an example of something, and I'll just kind of show you some of the things that I've done in the past. So you can have like for, just kind of things that I've done. So one of the things that I did, and one of the things I encourage everybody, first and foremost, right, is, hold on, let me pull it up so you can have a screen. So the first thing that I did was I took and learned how to sell a service that I already knew. So for me, when I started doing government contracting is when I took and I started making content about it and I started selling the classes on government contracting. And I'll show you kind of an example of that. And I made, like, my first product that I made talking about government contracts, I think it was like $97. And then I made a $200 product and a $300 product. And recently, and I'll show you guys here, I kind of give you an example so you can see what I did. This is the background, the behind the scenes of our Teachable account. And so going back to, let's see, I don't see it. I don't like how it's organized. I don't know if this is, I don't know what these dates are, but I mean, when basically by the time I got to some of my, okay, so this was like a 2021. Okay, here we go. So my first 1.0 course, right? We did $62,000. And then my next course sales, we did 200,000, and then 3.0, 291, and then 3.0, $397,000, right? And so that was an example of me taking something that I knew about, right? Packaging it up, putting in order and making it convenient for people, and then people paying me for it. Now, what went into that? Well, several things went into that. First and foremost, all the content that people paid for, I had it publicly online somewhere. So I wasn't hiding it. I wasn't basically saving the good stuff for last or saving it for later. I effectively took the same exact information. I cut out the fluff and I organized it because YouTube doesn't let you organize it. And then I packaged it in a nice package and gave it to people in easy to follow steps. And that started, I want to say, what was that? Let me see, I think it was 5 years ago. 5 years ago when I started doing that. And that is something that, I did. Now, fast forward to recently, we had one of my coaches that was teaching about this particular type of way that he knows how to sell to the government. And so I told him, listen, rather than going on and getting people to pay you one time, let's take that, record some content, put it, organize it, and put it into a course and package it and give it to people, because people have more money than they have time. And so a lot of people pay for the ease of access, the convenience of these things. And so we did that. And here, so this is something that we did and turned it out into another course. And again, that did the same. Again, it didn't do hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it did way beyond $10,000, right? And today's theme is 10K. Now let's contrast that with a friend of mine who I've been talking to recently. I'm gonna call her out because she's my friend. And so I'm telling her, listen, you have developed this skill. And so she's gotten really good at LinkedIn, and she's grown her following base to 20,000 followers. And her posts regularly get hundreds of engagements, reposts, and things like that. Look, some of this 800 engagements, 800, 600, right? And so I'm telling her, hey, why don't you take this information, turn it into videos, and make it into a course? And if she did that and she started pushing it on her LinkedIn, hey, would you like to learn how to do what I did on LinkedIn, grow your following to 20,000 followers? I guarantee you, she could not make just 10,000. She could probably make 50, 60, $70,000. Now, it does take work, right? You got to sit down, you got to record videos, you got to write the scripts, you got to write the content. But you've got now all of the different AI tools to help you with that. The only thing that she'd have to do differently is put it in a community or make the videos for it. But the point of the story is there's people out here that have taken advantage of these opportunities and did something with it. There's people that are sitting around and squandering their opportunities. And at the same time, it's okay to, and I hate to say squander may not be the right word, but it's okay to not maximize it if you don't need the money, right? So if you're one of those people like, look, I don't need an extra $10,000, cool. That makes sense to me. But I think that all of the people that are listening, the reason why you're listening is because you're curious about, like, what can you do? So the first thing that I would say to you, right, is take something that you already know, that if you've sold before, whether you sold it for yourself, sold it for anything else. Look, there's people on here talking about government contracts. They ain't never sold no government contract. They were an employee of someone that did contracts, and they built a following from that. But what you have to do, right, whether you're, again, you don't have to necessarily make content, but you can do project management. Maybe you've figured out a great way to do project management. For me, we've needed help with like construction administration. I know people that get paid to manage paperwork for successful construction companies. So any of these types of services, people that are in the boomer category who have a lot of money and don't have a lot of time, they will gladly pay you. One, people will pay you to learn it, but two, they'll also pay you to do it for them. So the next level up to that would be just paying them to do it for you. And we did that with some accounts, and I wasn't even that good at it, but we arbitrage having someone manage people's social media accounts. And so, for example, we had someone that would pay us a fee, a monthly retainer, and then we would pay someone else a much lesser retainer. And then we were able to make that arbitrage play on actually managing their accounts. Something that we're going to get back into coming up really soon. So you'll see me, we're going to rehatch that business because we think there's still a huge opportunity now to arbitrage social media production. And you would be like, who wants that? Well, if you know anything about LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn is the biggest network on the planet for boomers. And so for me, that group of people really, if you could show them how you could do this for their platforms, they would pay you thousands of dollars a month to actually help them grow out and build their platforms. So if you could do this, I promise you, people would pay you enormous amounts of money. All right, so that's the first thing. The second thing, and by the way, all this stuff, even if you don't know how to do it, you can figure out how to do it, right? So first thing, learn how to sell something. The second thing is, again, documenting a process that you know, right? So what does that mean? If you have a job, you work at some place where you might be doing a repetitive process. And that repetitive process, there's someone that's basically costing time to pay an employee or to pay several employees to be able to do these repetitive types of process. So for me, I'll give you an example of something that I did that made some value. So this is something that I did. Where is it at? So there was this report that we used to fill out, and here it is. So there's this government report that we used to fill out, and it looked like this. And as you can imagine, that this report, very complicated to do, not easy, and someone had to actually had to get a PDF document, open up a PDF and write in all this information. I took one day, because I got sick of doing this stupid report, and I built it in Google Sheets. And so I took the same report, I built it in Google Sheets, and then when you print it off, it looked like the PDF version. This is the newer version. I had the older one, right? And so what I did that, I was able to then essentially just copy and paste each tab and then just change out whatever information I had in here. And so that ultimately ended up saving hundreds of hours of man time from people having to go in and do these reports. I've seen other instances where people have played with, say, ChatGPT on a process, and they've sold people their chat prompts. Maybe you guys have seen some of the people on there that have sold, hey, copy my prompt to get these results. Well, you could take a weekend, right, and figure out some prompts that essentially do something for a process. I know I have certain prompts that I've paid for before, but I'll give you an example. I've got prompts that I've created that help me to effectively extract information from podcast guests much easier. But guess what? Because I have more money than time, someone creating that for me and selling it to me would be of extreme value, right? So documenting a process that you know, something that you've done, like a deal flow sheet, some sort of checklist. You'd be surprised how many people would pay for very simple things like Google Sheets, content uploading. I'll give you another example. If you are, again, young and you're ambitious, right? There are things that I've done before, and you guys, everyone could do this. Everyone, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna show you guys an AI tool that I've used. I'm gonna show you this tool that I've used before. Hold on. So I use this tool right here. All right. Most of you, if you haven't heard about the hack with the T app, right? So the T app was a vibe coded app that got hacked, right? But before it got hacked, it had worked its way up to millions of people that download this app, and it was vibe coded. So anyone who's played video games, anyone who's played phone games, computer games, grew up with iPads, all this stuff is very easy for you to do. And I'll show you. So like, for example, so with base 44, I literally took base 44 and I vibe coded some apps that we use now, Like, so this one did transcripts. So this one was a podcast app that I made. And I literally, you can see, I just basically prompted it. Okay. And it made this vibe coded podcast library app that I made that starts pulling all of my podcasts from RSS feeds. And then here, I'll show you. And I literally vibe coded this in a couple days. And it started pulling my podcast feeds. I'll sign in. And then it starts pulling the transcriptions. All I did was literally type in prompts to create something that looks like this, that now is searching through all of my feeds. So any one of you guys could do this. Take a process that you know, document it, and you can vibe code an app that would have tremendous value to people like myself who don't have time to do this. Right? If you haven't heard of Base 44, go look up Base 44, get you an account, and start vibe coding. I mean, these are the prompts that I use to type it in. Like, this is the first thing. Oh, let's load the conversation. Okay, so this is what I typed in Base 44. This is my prompt. I have a list of 300 podcasts that I want to catalog, transcribe, and make into searchable information. I will need a place to store the data, full text search, also need a way to upload them in the system, and finally a searchable database that can query to get the information and recommend audio from the library. And then it started pulling it together, right? And then it said, gave me an error, it starts fixing it. This app is like $20 a month, okay? And you could vibe code something. Look, I did a lot of experimenting, okay? But again, it's called vibe coding because you do it over the weekend. So instead of playing Fortnite or whatever, you essentially can prompt this thing up, and then generate something pretty like this. And like, dude, somebody will pay you a lot of, like, this for me to go and catalog all of my 300 podcast episodes. All right. This is worth thousands of dollars. Okay. The amount of time this has saved me is worth $5,000 at least. So, but we're not look at the things that you're doing at your jobs and see with the new tools out there, how you can turn around and take this process and vibe code an app that can get the information from one place to the next, like over the weekend. I'm saying do this stuff over the weekend. All right. So my example was certified payroll. Yes. And at my certified payroll, I literally create this chart, but I bet you I could recreate this chart, vibe coding this in like this app, right? Matter of fact, you know what? Let's try it. Let's see if we can vibe code this payroll app in here. Let me see if I can grab it. Do I have the payroll form? Oh, here it is. Okay, let's see if we can do it. I'll do it at the end. We'll come back around and we'll do that. Right? I think a lot of you guys just are not experimenting enough. So I'm going to download this and we're going to try to vibe code this payroll app form that's in a stupid PDF that's ugly that no one can use into something that someone can actually type in their information. It saves it, and then they have it for next week, and then they only have to change certain forms. There's no way that someone should be putting in stuff into a PDF like this to submit a report to the government each and every week. This should be an automated thing. All right. So, all right, let's keep going. And then the last thing that I've done, hands over feet, is partner with people who already have customers. So the easiest way that I've found for me to get access to deals is to partner with people who have customers. So what does that look like? So again, I've always worked with older people that were at least 20 years my senior. And I literally, those people, I meet with them, they tell me their problems, and I go back and I vibe code it, and I say, is this what you're looking for? I'm telling you, it's like nobody knows what vibe code. If you know what vibe coding is, you're already ahead of the game. The second thing is they don't care how you solved it. So no older person cares how you solve the issue. I have a meeting this week with a customer that we're going to be looking at solving his issues. And I'm literally meeting with him. And I said to him, in fact, I texted him and I said, hey, let me pull up the chat. It's like a section. I said, hey, what's your availability? Okay, so so on the chat, I texted him and I was like, hey, what's your availability next week to hop on a call with me and discuss this CRM platform? We're working on something and I want real user feedback. Anyone of you guys could text that to someone, right? So you could find someone that is in an industry that you know, restaurants, I don't know, salons, any of those industries, and ask them for feedback on your vibe coded app that you made. So, yo, KB, I'm happy I showed you base 44. Yeah, yo, you need base 44. I'm gonna show you. By the way, when we finish, I'm gonna show you base 44. It'll change your life. So again, partnering with people who already have customers. My first deals that I did was with an AC company. The guy was doing $2 million a year in business, and he had challenges with like the first thing I did, it wasn't even software related. He literally took a course on how to build out his AC business, but how to get like recurring customers. So he took this course and he wanted to implement a loyalty program where they did maintenance. So they would sell the customers these maintenance packages that were, let's say your maintenance package was 500 a year or 200 a year, more like 200 a year. So you pay a $200 a year maintenance package. By the way, he had the course. It was in a 3-ring binder. He had this course. So let's say, so I met him and he goes, Eric, I bought this course, okay? And but no one in my company is going to implement the course because everyone's busy. So I'm 27 years old. He goes, can you read this course and implement it in my business? Sure. The course already had all the templates. They already had all the stuff. And I literally took the course information that he had, how to essentially build this referral program where he had like maintenance agreements. And I took the information and I executed it for him. He already had the information. He already paid for it. He was looking for somebody to come in and execute it for him because the people that he had didn't want to or didn't care to do that. So what I'm saying to you guys is you can, if you have access to someone that already has customers, right? Sit down with them, talk to them, and then see what could you do, right? That can help them increase leads for the business, driving, maybe make the process more efficient, right? Or take away some of the recurring things that they have to do using some of these new tools that essentially all of you guys can do over the week. I'm telling you, I know that everyone listening, there's 34 people watching, you can vibe code an app over the weekend that would be worth more than $10,000 to a boomer person in their business. Okay. I know this for a fact. In fact, one of my clients just bought a software platform that someone wrote that literally just took AI to help them generate leads. So, and again, you can use these tools that I'm telling you about to be able to do that. Like for me, lead generation, finding a way to increase your sales, finding a way to, again, taking the old stuff. Like you said, you're typing chat. I love chat. Chat is great because chat allows me to figure out what do I need to do inside some of these apps. But I use the app to actually create the platforms. And so we'll show you that in a minute. But again, find someone that already has customers, that already may have some attention, right? And offer them a new way to get more customers, retain customers, keep the customer they have, grow the customer base, right? Or solve an issue of literally like insurance and processing forms and processing documents. All of us, myself, everyone who does government contracting, we process a lot of documents. That is the biggest challenge with all of us who are in government contracting is we process a lot of documents. You know, something that I'm dealing with right now, I'm moving to another state and they gave me a form to move of like, do all these 10 things. Like, why is that not automatically done? So I'll give you an example, like, and we'll close out and then I'll go back to the example. So again, going back, you know, my first client, when we started helping him, we did a revenue share split and we split the revenue. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this thing and we're going to test it out with your customers, people like me, right? I've got 25,000 people on my email list, right? If you said, hey, Eric, I've got this new thing that I think can increase your customers, all you got to do is send out some emails. And if it works, we'll split some of the revenue. I'm going to say, hell yeah. Like, where you at? So I'm like, yes, you got a way to help me increase my revenue. I've already got 25,000 people on my list. Yes, we can try it with my list. No one's going to say no. They're like, yeah, of course. Like, if it makes sense, right? So again, looking for people who already have customers. So we'll go back and just real quick for those who may have missed it, sales skill that you already have, document whatever value things you have, turn those into assets, forms, agreements, checklists, and then partner with people who already have money. So now let's go back and let's see if we can recreate this form before I close out today with everyone. Let's see if we can go back and recreate this form, right? And base 44. And also, let me do this. While we're here on the call, is there any vibe coded app that you think that you might want us to create? I will do it live here with you guys. So let me go back to my workspace. Vibe. All right. So someone said, something I found interesting was an AI that helps companies track late invoices. Didn't know how many companies are sitting over 50K on unpaid late invoice. Okay, AI Gov contract. Let's do that. So let's do a helps company track late invoices. So let's tell it. So let's start. We'll just walk through an example. So let's do chat and say, hey, chat, I want to create a app that helps companies track late invoices. What features should it have? So let's just do an example. All right, cool. So this is what chat says. So core features, invoice management, late invoice tracking, automated reminders, client management, payment integration. All right, so let's just do this. Okay. And then let's go over here. Let's go to base 44. And then we'll say, so we'll put that in here, all the features that we want, right? Because I don't need to come up with the features. And then we'll tell it what we want. We want to create an app that helps companies track late invoices. Okay, we'll do that. And then we'll start. So now I didn't have to think about the features that I needed because I had chat tell me the features that I needed. You follow me? So I did not have to figure that out. Chat told me the features I needed so I could tell the other tool that's going to make it what features to make, because otherwise I would not know because I've never built it before. So let's see what happens. By the way, we're doing this live in front of everybody so you could see essentially how this goes. So while we're doing this, and you can see it's happening, it's editing the dashboard. Okay. So real quick, I'll just put it in the chat. All right. Again, I hope that this video has been helpful for you guys. I'm going to stay on here and we're going to finish vibe coding this app real quick based on somebody's idea. I think this is a way, again, going back to, again, sales skill that you already have, documenting processes, things that seem repetitive that you can essentially help save somebody time, and saving time saves them money, or help them generate new customers, right? Because by spending less time on doing what we call the 80%, which is the managing of the work, they can focus on the 20%, which is lead gen, customer engagement, being out front. So those are the things that we want to do. But again, just kind of based off an idea that someone had on here, I want you guys to see this. So this has been fun. I look forward to it. I can't wait till this result comes out. We're always trying to find ways to help people, because again, going back to what I said, and I'll put this in the background, put myself in big, but what I'm realizing, and I didn't know this, I'll be honest with you, I've been really disconnected because I thought that people had more resources and money than they did. So now that I'm understanding where people are at, I'm going to go back and start helping you guys get to that. I mean, to me, everyone should have $10,000 in the bank. Like, that's a no-brainer. Like, we should all have 10,000 in the bank. That should be your first step. And then everyone should have 100K in the bank, and that should be your next step, right? But I'm just realizing that less people have. I was disconnected from the real world and what people are facing with. So now I'm going back to, okay, let's go from 0 to 100 first. I mean, let's go to that. Let's go from 0 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 200, right? So let me go backwards and show people, because this is not incredibly hard to do. And there's a lot of people that are not going to bother learning this. And so for the people who are spending the time here, who are want to learn, who want to understand and figure these things out, this is a great place to start, right? And I hope everyone's found this helpful. And I love watching this thing work. And look how it's building the pages. And for you guys that's going to stay to the end, you will see how amazing this is and how easy it is to do. So again, for those of you who are just joining us, what we're doing is we're looking at how we can solve a problem for a boomer business who has more money than time, right? And so someone in the chat suggested that we build a AI tool that helps companies track late invoices that they're sitting on over 50K in unpaid or late invoices. So what I did is I went over to chat and I said, I want to create this app that helps companies track late invoices. And then it gave me a list of core features. And then I took the core features and then I listed them in base 44. And then I had it to, now it told me what features I needed. I put the features in there and told it to build an app with these features. And now it's literally building the app for us. And so you will have a working demo. Ooh, are we ready for the reveal? Are we ready for the reveal? Booyah! And there you have a comprehensive late invoice tracking system with dashboard analytics, client management, detailed invoice, and professional reporting. All right. So you can create an invoice, amount, due date, status, actions, dates. Here's your clients, outstanding balances, total clients, reports, total invoices, collection rate, outstanding, overdue, dashboard. Okay. And then here's a dashboard. And then here's some quick stats from it. So what do you guys think? Was that successful? Did that meet or exceed everyone's expectations? That was our first rendition. So do you guys think it was successful? If you think it was successful, give it a thumbs up. Tavin, you watched it in front. Oh, Tavin, you on here? Yo, did you guys see that? Did you see what happened in front of your eyes? Anybody else think that was pretty sick? So again, these are the kind of things that if you now, your only limitation is your creativity. Your only limitation is your creativity, right? So you've been sitting around talking about that what you can't do. And in fact, just what can you do now that you know that this is all possible out here? right? So, my idea with the new content is to expand people's minds beyond where they're at now, because essentially, like I said, there's tools out here designed to help us to be able to solve problems that traditionally we all had to be experts in solving. But now, with a little bit of creativity, meeting with customers and understanding their profile and some of the challenges that they're having, all of us can create solutions that can add value to the lives of people who have existing businesses and find ways to generate that first 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K. So I'm telling you, because I'm doing it. I'm not telling you. Look, one thing that people know when I start talking about government contracts, that I do the stuff. The same thing that you're witnessing, we are, and I'm going to share with you one other fact real quick. So we are, in fact, doing similar things that we always tell people about, but just at a much higher level. So one of the areas where, hold on, I'll tell you right now, one of the areas that we are working on. So everybody, maybe you don't know. Hold on a second. So maybe some of you guys have heard about Y Combinator before. So Y Combinator is the people, Paul Graham, and they basically invest in all the smartest, brightest minds in the future. So they invest in like Ubers and the Facebooks, and they invested in, all those guys. So Y Combinator recruits actively startups, and they're the best and the brightest minds in our country. And one of the things this is what Y Combinator, for their fall batch of companies, this is what they're looking for them. These are some of the issues they're trying to solve for. And I say this because if you want to get a glimpse into the future of what the future tech companies are building, these are the things that this gives you an insight into what they're doing. So here, it tells you AI-powered vocational training. So many of you might be in vocational training, right? So if you're an electrician, you're a welder, you're HVAC, you're in vocational training, you can do what I just did for your craft. So you can take vocational training, right, and take the skills that you learn to be a welder or a mechanic, and take your training, turn it into an AI, create an AI infrastructure around it to teach models how to train workers in months instead of years. So you take the training, listen, you're taking a trade school education. This is where before all the kids who didn't go to college went to trade school. Y'all remember this? All of my friends went to trade schools because they couldn't make it to college. But now, if you take your trade school learning and knowledge that you have that I don't have because I went to college, I'm the idiot that went to college. If you take that trade school training knowledge and you just do what I just showed you, y'all see that? You do what I just showed you. You create an AI-powered vocational training app. Forget multimodal, blah, blah, blah. But you work with some people to create this because you're the expert in trade school. This is what they're looking to invest in for companies of the future. You're watching it now. It's August the 4th, 2025. You're watching it with me. That is what they're looking for. So we're taking a combination of old stuff and pairing it with new tech. And that's the businesses that they're going to boom. But look at number 3, Tavin, if you're still here. AJ, if you're still here. Look at number 3, a 10-person, $100 billion company. This is what they're looking to build. 10-person, $100 billion company. All right. AI eliminates the need for large teams. Revenue per employee becomes critical to optimization. All right. So again, I just showed you how I built that app on the call in 10 minutes. Imagine if you spent a weekend working on this thing, what could you do? All right, multi-agent infrastructure system, enterprise software, replacing government consultant. Tavin, this is our space, government consultant. Look, they want to replace Deloitte, Accenture. They spend $100 billion on consulting services. Political to cut waste and abuse. Look, what did I just go over? Okay, taking approval automation, right? Approval automation, infrastructure tools, treating AI as block building. So again, if you take in forms and documents that the government's paying these consultants to review, you can create, look, FedRAMP approval automation. We can build this right now. Like, you guys know we can build this. If you wonder where I got, just Google this top stuff in yellow. Just Google it. YC Fall 25 request for startups. We can build this. We can literally, okay, look, I'll do one more demo. FedRAMP approval automation. All right, listen, regulation compliance checking. Did I not just go over this with you guys? You can literally take the FedRAMP process, okay, FedRAMP approval process. Let's go through real quick. I'm gonna, for the sake of time, I'm not gonna go do it. We won't build it today. Maybe we'll do it in the next video. But if we were to take this FedRAMP process, right, and it goes over a authorization, okay. And so we figure out the process. I don't know what the process is. 64 ready, 69 in process, 42 authorized. Okay, automate application, validate security. So again, you take this whole process and essentially you figure out, once you figure out what the process is, then you can go in and then you can program the steps and put it in here to automate it. So again, the first thing is just understanding what the problem set is. And then once you understand the problem set, then you could go and start to solve for it. But the first thing is understanding the problem set. So again, listen, thank you so much. I didn't expect to be here this long. I hope this gave you guys some ideas for how to make your first 10K. I want people to ultimately be able to take some of our programs and join us and be in some of our communities and learn how to essentially take the skills that you already have, your talent, and then use it and leverage it to make money for yourself and your family and be able to do some of the things, cool stuff that we do, like, you know, buy houses and make investments with your family and cool things like that. So go on trips and vacations and essentially, you know, buy back your freedom and time so that you can spend with people that you care and love the most. So with that, besos, kisses, hugs to everybody out there. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. See you next week.